This is not about me being cool. This is not about me having some squeaky, polished, perfect image for the world. This is not for my ego. This is sincerely what I've dedicated my life to. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Erik Carlberg, and I'm a dating coach for men. datingcoachformen.com is my website. I've been a dating coach for a long time. I've been coaching for over 15 years now. I've had my own business for over 10 years. I just started datingcoachformen.com. That is a rebrand. I used to be coast-to-coast-datingcoach.com. I'm still technically Coast-to-Coast Dating Coach, LLC, but I am now doing business as datingcoachformen.com. I work for other coaches as well. Most notably, I have been working with Erik von Markovic, better known the world over as Mystery. That's Mystery from the VH1 show, The Pickup Artist. If you never saw that show in the mid-2000s, it was a great show. They take 10 lovable losers, I believe they called them. It's kind of a derogatory term, in my opinion, but 10 lovable losers and transform them into pickup artists, right? And Mystery was the host of that show. He was the biggest name in my field, especially at that time. Some say he's still the most influential coach of all time. He's one of my best friends. He's a business partner of mine. He's my wingman. So I partner up with him and I do some workshops and boot camps and so forth. I worked with Matt Artisan of The Attractive Man. I was a breakthrough coach for Matt for over a year. Matt Artisan is an incredibly hardworking, friendly, easy to work with person. I loved working with Matt Artisan. I loved working with his team. They have a really nice company culture there. The culture at his company, The Attractive Man, is just wonderful. So I had a great time working with Matt. I love working with Mystery. I have my own business, datingcoachformen.com. I just finished a book that is going to be an absolute monster. It's 700 or 800 pages. It's 250,000 words. And it's not fluffed up. I mean, I truly did my best to kind of strip out the fluff. Even though there are some stories that get a little bit detailed. Like someone might read my book and say, oh, this story could have been chopped down. Not really. Not from my point of view. This book took on a life of its own. It wanted to be what it wanted to be. I was not there to shape and mold my book as much as I felt like there was this book inside of me that needed to come out. My job was to shape and mold the book to be what it wanted it to be, not what I wanted it to be, not what I thought other people wanted it to be. The book had a message, and I was merely the conduit for this book to come out. So I've been warned by people, oh, no one reads book that, no one's going to read a book that long. You should chop it down. In the self-help genre, everybody just wants 150-page books and whatever. Then this book isn't for you. I never said it was for everybody. Not everybody likes the band Tool. Not everybody likes Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd and these long, drawn-out, epic songs, right? But I'm sorry, that's my jam. This book that I wrote, The Vortex of Love, which I just publicly announced the name of it for the first time a few days ago on a debate. A little bit of a cringy debate, I'm not going to lie. We were debating fast escalation versus solid game. Should we be trying to physically escalate on women quickly, or should we be slowing it down and drawing it out a bit more? I'll talk more about that maybe in this video, maybe another video. But anyway, I announced the name of my book for the first time, The Vortex of Love. It's going to be ready January 2025, possibly February 2025. But I put my heart and soul into this book, right? This is not a lead magnet, right? And no offense to people that write books like that. There's a purpose that serves as well. Write a short little book, leave people wanting more, capture some leads from that. upsell, so forth. This book, The Vortex of Love, is the book that you can read and then just explode your game. And by game, I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I'm going to use the term game many times over in these videos. But game simply means a man's ability to attract the woman that he desires, or the women that he desires, plural. It's a man's ability to manifest in a proficient way his ideal love life. Game is just a catch-all term. I don't view this as a game. I don't think guys should gamify their love lives. I think that they should treat it like it's real life. Treat every woman like she's a real person, right? So where am I going with all this? I'm trying to give you guys a little bit of a snapshot of who I am, right? So I discovered this stuff at 22 years of age. At the ripe age of 22, I was going through my first really bad breakup. Some people experience that in high school. Some people experience it a little after. Some people don't experience it until later in life. But at 22 years old, that was the first time that I had somebody that I cared about very much break up with me, and just I felt destroyed by it, right? I had little heartaches and letdowns and puppy loves and crushes before that. But when I was 22, that was the first time I really felt like, oh my God, life is over, right? Like my girlfriend dumped me. And so what happened was I went to all my friends and family members and basically said, how do I get my ex back, right? How do I get her back? And nobody's advice was sufficient to me. It was all, you can't get her back. You have to let her go and whatever. So eventually I went to Google, right? Because Google knows everything. Google, how do I get my ex back? And then I started reading these articles saying, you don't want to get her back. You want to improve your skills. And then maybe you can get her back, right? And I was just so blown away by the idea that I could proactively work on my love life and build it like a skill, like a martial art. I was like, I can train this like a martial art, the Venusian arts, right? This is a term that was coined by Mystery, by the way, the pickup artist. He doesn't like the term pickup artist. He's been kind of forced to embrace it, right? He was on a VH1 show called The Pickup Artist. He wanted to call it the Venusian artist. But Venusian artist had a little bit too much of an esoteric ring to it. It wasn't going to grab people's attention. The mid-2000s was more about that shock value, right? Game of Thrones, shock the audience a little bit to reel them in. So Venusian artist, by the way, it is the mirror opposite of a martial artist. A martial artist studies the arts of war. Martial comes from the word Mars, god of war. Venus, god of love. Venusian artist. So the Venusian arts are the mirror opposite of the martial arts. Credit Eric von Markovic, Mystery, my wingman and business partner, for that term. So, anyway, in my early 20s, that was the first time that I realized, oh my gosh, I can actually train in the Venusian arts as if they are the martial arts. I can learn strategies. I can learn tactics and techniques. I can hone my skills. I can practice. I can read theory. I can work on my mindset. I can visualize. I can take so many different fields and apply it to attracting the love life that I desire, right? I was just blown away by it. And I knew almost instantly the power that this had to completely transform my life. I was like, this stuff is going to have a powerful effect on my life. I don't know where it's going to take me, but I know it's going to take me somewhere. And almost instantly, I also recognized that I would probably be a pretty good coach. I am not the typical dating coach that discovered this stuff and had no skill and no ability. I wasn't some kind of, ladies' man or anything back when I was in high school or when I was younger, but I did do better than most guys. I put myself out there. I took chances. I was social. I networked with cool guys. I hung out with a popular crowd for a while. But even more than that, I was one of these guys that kind of fit into multiple social groups. I had friends that were more alternative, more punk rock, I had friends that were just more like normies, I guess, whatever that is. And then I had the cool kids that I hung out with. And I always took note of the guys that had some sort of game, if you will. It was just what I thought about. Like a lot of young men, I thought about the game and women a lot. So yeah, I had my first experiences starting at a younger age than a lot of guys. And I'm not going to get into those personal details. When I work with guys privately in my coaching calls, I reveal a little bit more about my history and what started my, journey of being into this field, of wanting to get better with girls. Take a sip of water here. This tea dries my mouth out a little bit. This is orange rooibos blood orange tea from Trader Joe's. I love it. I wrote my book while drinking a lot of this tea, but it dries my mouth out a little bit. So anyway, always just hyper focused on girls when I was younger. And it was arguably unbalanced. I'm not recommending that a guy be so obsessed with, attracting girls and socializing like I was, but it's just where my head was at. And when I had my first bad breakup, that's when I learned, oh my gosh, I can actually study and train in this, right? When I was younger, it was just go out with cool dudes. I had a few shreds of advice in my head. I will get to those at some point, not in this video probably, but I had like, be confident. There are the guys that are looking for girls, and then there are the guys the girls are looking for. I had one line, right? If you're talking to a girl and everything's going well, just say, hey, let's go somewhere. And she'll be like, okay. And then you just take her by the hand and take her to a secluded area of a party and make out with her, right? I had one line. I had a few shreds of advice, but I was mostly just going out there and socializing and absorbing the behaviors and mindsets of guys that I thought were cool. I learned some stuff from my father, my mother. I learned some stuff from my cousin who was a couple years older than me, who was pretty good with the ladies supposedly back then. And, so I took advice from him. I had an uncle as well that did well for himself. So, I was very focused on my game, for lack of a better term. And then when I discovered that I could actually learn this stuff, I could study different strategies and techniques. I could study psychology, evolutionary biology, communication, mindset, neuro-linguistic programming, hypnosis, self-improvement, sales. I took all this stuff and it just became my focus, my obsession. But at 22 years old, who's going to pay you for dating advice, right? I knew that I was young. I knew that I had work to do. And also I looked at all the other coaches in this sphere, and I quickly identified that quite a few of these guys were probably coaching a little bit sooner than maybe they should have. I don't mean to be judgmental in saying that, but there were times I'd look at a coach and his advice was pretty good, but then I was also like, yeah, but he's kind of still figuring this stuff out. He doesn't look like he has it fully locked down. I didn't want to be that guy. I did not want to be the guy going out there, figuring this stuff out as he went along, and then have people be like, poking holes in my coaching, right? So I wanted to develop a really distinguished style of game, if you will. So I trained by going out, applying different concepts, journaling, figuring out what was working really well for me before I started coaching. Another interesting thing happened to me along the way, though, too, is what I realized was I was optimizing a style of game that worked well for me, but was it necessarily the best style of game for everybody, right? And this is something that I see that is really prevalent in my industry. It's coaches are refining a style of game that works for them, and then they're teaching their style of game. And that's a great way to do it because, you want to teach somebody what to do, you should do it yourself first, right? So I'm not knocking that approach, but what I realized too along the way was that I needed to be able to calibrate and adjust my coaching for different types of guys. And also, I consider myself to be kind of multidimensional with my game. What I mean by that is I don't believe that one style of game is superior over the other. I think that we should be able to adapt to any circumstance if we want to get really proficient. I'm not saying we should, we have to. If we want to, let me be careful with my words. If we want to develop proficiency with our game and we want to be multidimensional, we are going to be best off studying many different styles of game and being able to use them at different points. Like, for example, sometimes we want to walk up to a woman and tell her right away that we find her attractive and we want to get to know her. Sometimes that's not the right move. Often it's not the right move. If she's with a group of people, we may be better off going in and starting a conversation with her friends more broadly. So we call that direct and indirect game, by the way. So I experimented with direct game, indirect game, natural game. Natural game is the idea that we don't need any tactics. We don't need any strategies. We just go out and get reference experiences and the right mindsets and emotional states, everything to say and do. All this stuff will just come to us in the moment. There's no need to get too technical with it. I experimented with natural game. There's more detail that goes into it than that. I experimented with structured game, which is the idea of structuring an interaction down into multiple different stages and phases, right? Most popular is the M3 model, which was created again by my good friend, business partner, mentor, Mystery. Another quick, plug for Mystery here. When I first discovered this stuff in my early 20s, he was the biggest name out there. I always imagined myself one day meeting Mystery and coaching by his side. I thought, how cool would it be to someday meet Mystery, be one of his coaches, travel the world with him, create products with him. I manifested that shit. Sip of water. Time out. So anyway, back to the story. Okay, so I started coaching part-time for a small company. I was doing all of the sales. I was flying around the country doing the coaching. I was basically doing everything, right? Forgive me, I got a little hat hair here, but I'm getting a little bit warm. So I worked for this other company, traveled the world, United States especially, coaching guys in person, doing all the sales, basically kind of running almost the whole operation. And then eventually just decided I'm going to start my own business because I'm kind of doing everything here anyway. So started my first business at age 30, networked with all these other coaches. I met Mystery around age 34. And I've been working with him for 8 years, and now I am 41 years old. So I have officially kind of been in the game, if you will, as in I knew about this stuff 19 years ago. That's when I started training. That's when I started training as if this is a martial art. 20 hours a week, 30 hours a week, sometimes even more. That's dedicated just to my game alone, by the way. When I was actually coaching and started coaching and ramping that up, now I was dedicating at least 20 hours a week to my own skill development, and I was also coaching other guys. So, this is something that goes back a long time for me. 19 years in the game, 15 years coaching, 10 years coaching for myself and running my own business, 8 years partnering up with the biggest name in this field, one of the biggest names of all time, Erik von Markovic, Mystery. So where am I at right now? I'm overwhelmed, okay? I am overwhelmed. I've got to get my book ready for January 2025, February 2025. It's in the final editing phase. It needs one more final read. I've got to get a cover design. I got to get some graphics made. There's more work to do. I am doing 4 boot camps with Mystery in the United States We just got his O1 visa renewed. So he has an O1 visa, which is basically you've demonstrated extraordinary ability. Athletes, musicians, celebrities get O1 visas to work in the US. Mystery has an O1 visa, which I sponsored him for. So I am Mystery's agent sponsor for the United States. That is in the books. We have boot camps that we're doing. We have online workshops that we're doing. I have my own coaching programs that I'm doing where I'm teaching the vortex of love and all sorts of other one-on-one trainings and offerings. On top of that, I'm trying to build social media momentum, right? So I'm posting on multiple platforms. I'm making little shorts. And I finally said to myself, I need to make some long-form content. How am I going to do that? I'm spending so much time doing coaching calls, consultations, creating these little shorts, working on my book, partnering up with Mystery, doing sales and marketing and business development with him. I have a fiance. I just got engaged a few months ago. I have a relationship with my family, with friends. I train martial arts. I do a little bit of jujitsu and kickboxing at a gym here where I live in the Chicagoland area. I have so much stuff that I'm working on, and it's a lot. It's just a lot. But I kept saying to my fiance, I've got to get some long form content out there. I have to get some long form content out there. And I feel like if we're going to try to make it all perfect, we're never going to produce anything. Just put the camera up there, hit record, and let me talk to people. Let me just talk. I have so much to talk about. I would like to make some videos coming up that are organized, that are nice and sequential. Here's the 3 top tips for whatever the fuck, right? And I give you the 3 top tips, and it's nice and organized with a nice conclusion. It's all polished, and it's a self-contained little bit of content. I see the value in that for sure, okay? But I see a lot of value as well to you guys getting to know me on a more personal level. That means leaving in the imperfections. That means as I'm talking here, if little spit flies out of my mouth, we're not going to edit that out, right? I'm going to take my hat off, take my beanie off, and have a little hat hair, right? I want you guys to know me, Erik Carlberg, dating coach for men, on a more personal level. And this is sometimes where the best stuff comes out anyway. When I'm trying to perform for the camera, when I'm scripting everything out and I've got to get I got to nail this performance, I can come up with some good stuff too. But you are going to get probably just as much or more value out of just soaking up my vibe, not just the content of what I'm delivering to you. The information itself is powerful, but the vibe and the sub-communication that I want to put out there. I want to inspire you. More than anything, I want to inspire you to get into the game and stay in the game. That is one of the keys, bar none, to success in your dating life. I'm okay with you going out there, finding the person you're meant to be with, and boom, you're out. Okay, got my girl. I'm getting engaged. I'm getting married. I'm done with this. But I would encourage you to stay on the path of self-development. I would encourage you to stay on the path of learning how to keep a woman satisfied in a relationship. I would encourage you to continue to develop your communication skills, your flirting ability, your understanding of male-female dynamics. You're going to cater that more to the relationship, obviously. I'm not saying you should still be going out there and meeting women, right? I'm not judging people that live that lifestyle, but that's not what I'm saying here. I'm just saying, even if you want to just meet the right girl for you and get on with life, you still should, in my opinion, focus a little bit on your game, on your ability to keep your woman satisfied over the long term. Flirting with her, communicating with her. These are things that I think should not be neglected. And then if you are single and you're going to be single for a little while, I highly recommend getting into the game, studying this stuff, training as if this is a martial art, learning the different strategies, learning the different tactics, getting a mentor, taking some training even with me, right? Training will help you. I have spent enormous amounts of my life focused on this area, honed in on it, figuring out what works for me, figuring out what works for other men. I have so much to talk about. I have so much more to share. I wish I had a concluding message for you. I wish I could take this call and just end on some concluding note, but I think I'm going to save that for next time. For now, I want you to know this. Erik Carlberg, datingcoachformen.com, been in the game for a long time and have a lot to teach you. I have a lot of stuff to talk about, and it's all going to come out over the next several months, several years, assuming I have longevity, assuming that I'm still here and I don't die, right? I would like to share a lot with you. I have a lot of valuable things to share with you. This is not about me being cool. This is not about me having some squeaky, polished, perfect image for the world. This is not for my ego. This is sincerely what I've dedicated my life to. I'm passionate about this. Dare I say, I think I'm pretty good at what I do, although I try to throw that notion of being good out of my mind and just continually get better. My father always told me, never think you're a good driver. He said every 16-year-old with a license thinks they're a good driver. It takes a lifetime to become a good driver. And as soon as you think you're good, that's when you let your guard down and you stop improving. So maybe just forget what I said about thinking that I'm good at what I do, okay? I've dedicated a lot of time to this. I'm very passionate about it. I'm very passionate about helping other guys. I'm engaged now, by the way. So I'm kind of the ultimate wingman here where I'm not looking for my person anymore. I found my person. I have nothing now but a desire to share with you guys my experience, how I did this, how you can do it. I've developed some really amazing strategies, tactics, structures, concepts, methods. It's all actionable. It's all applicable. You need to get into this game and train like it's a martial art, and then you need to apply it too. That is the most important thing as well. You get in the game, stay in the game, apply what you're learning. That's it, guys. Please hit the subscribe button, leave a comment, share this with anyone that you think needs help in this area of life. More to come.